This is the Builders Business Success Podcast for builders who want to attract more quality clients who aren't price-focused, eliminate cash flow pressure, and get paid for every quote. Here's your host, Mick Hawes.
Hey folks, welcome to another Builders Business Success Podcast, episode 40-something, maybe 47, I think. If this is your first time, welcome. The sorts of things that we cover are all of the common and often costly issues that most builders experience with marketing, with managing their team, with managing their prospects and their clients, and managing the money and managing your mindset and all of the things that it takes to make a successful building business. In this particular episode, I'm going to be covering what we call the initial meeting. So I'm going to be unpacking the initial meeting, and it's part of our process that we call the quality client pathway. And this is a series of steps that can turn potentially maybe a prospect that you thought wasn't going to be all of that flash into a really good quality client that isn't price focused, and clients that aren't price focused are so much better to work with than clients that are penny pinching all of the time and trying to get you to do things for nothing. So the quality client pathway is broken up into various bits, and the bit that we're going to talk about today is the initial meeting. And this is kind of the business end of it, I guess, because it's the bit where you ask to be paid to put your proposal together. And I tend not to call them quotes because I like the word proposal, and it differentiates or separates you from the common thoughts of what quotes are and so forth. So, but there's a fair bit to this meeting. It's a choreographed meeting, and the cool bit about it is it's beneficial for everyone. So we're going to be unpacking that in today's episode. Of course, we're going to have Q&A and a personal productivity hack as well, as per usual. Q&A, or the question that we're going to talk about, is connected to the main topic of the initial meeting, and it's why people won't pay for your quote, why you're being told no if you say, hey, we charge for quotes. You're being told no. The answer to this question hopefully will help you, and of course we're going to do a personal productivity hack as well. So let's fly into this week's episode of Builders Business Success Podcast. Just before we do, what I'd like you to do is, if you are watching this live, jump into the comments and just put #live. If you happen to be watching this as a replay, I'd like you to put #replay into the comment section. That would be much appreciated. So the initial meeting is perhaps the fourth part of the quality client pathway. And if you go back through previous episodes of the Builders Business Success Podcast, you can hear how it all comes together, because we've talked about the initial questionnaire, which is the first part. Then we've talked about the triage call. I am going to mention a thing called the credibility pack today, which is kind of the third part. And then the fourth part is the initial meeting. Now, I think for the most part, when most builders first meet their prospect, their focus is on just gathering information about the project. That might include getting information about the budget and so forth, and a little bit about what the people want from their project. But the real key to this and making it successful is having a focus, a complete commitment and a complete focus for your initial meeting on building rapport and building trust. And here's the thing, folks, this is a little secret, so if you just move in a little bit closer so you can hear this. It's not about answering their questions. If you answer the question, they are satisfied, but that doesn't build trust, and it doesn't build rapport, and it doesn't elevate your status as an authority. And one of the things that makes the biggest impact on creating trust and building rapport is having the person you're speaking to, conversing with, really feel that you understand their problems and their priorities from their perspective, at least as well, if not better than they do. And if you can do the better than they do bit, that's where the magic happens. So now, as I mentioned in the introduction, there is a step before the initial meeting, and that's called the credibility pack. You can call it a capability pack. You can call it whatever you like, but it's something that is physical that gets delivered. And so the part before this in the quality client pathway is the triage call, where you're asking them a series of questions. You can go back and watch the episode where we covered that. But then you set the initial meeting. And when you're setting the initial meeting, I think it's really important to not ask the question, well, when would work for you? What you need to do is present yourself as a professional and say, we can meet next Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. or next Thursday at 3 p.m. Like, you give them two options. Which would you prefer? And it's keeping a little bit of control and presenting a professional attitude. If you go, when would suit you? What you're doing subliminally, subconsciously, is setting up a dynamic that you will move things around to suit your prospect. And that's not a great way to establish the relationship dynamic in the first place. So you're giving them a choice, but it's basically fitting in with the gaps in your diary system. The other thing you need to do when you're setting the initial meeting is ensuring that you get an agreement that all of the stakeholders are going to be at this meeting. Don't even bother setting the meeting if they give you the old, oh, well, my husband's working or my wife's doing this, so I'll just meet with you and then I'll talk to them about it later. Not on, never, ever, ever do it. Make sure you get the agreement to have all of the stakeholders there. When you're getting them to agree to these concessions, if you like, you also need to have the skill and you need to have it set up in your process. The what's in it for me, like the reason that benefits them for having all of the stakeholders there. The reason that benefits them to come your way. So I would suggest, and this isn't a deal breaker, but wherever possible, have them come to you. Meet in your office. If you haven't got an office, maybe rent a boardroom from a serviced office. It's worth it, but have them come to you rather than go to the property or the site or anything like that for this initial meeting, because the purpose of this initial meeting is to set up the relationship dynamics. That's what it's for. But you've set the meeting in your triage call, and in between that, you send them out a credibility pack. And the credibility pack is designed to help create more trust, more credibility. Wonder why it's called a credibility pack. So there's all sorts of things in that credibility pack. It could be past jobs. It could be testimonials. I think something really valuable that you put in your credibility pack is should ask questions. So you can put frequently asked questions in there. That's fine. But should ask questions actually elevate your status as an authority, because people will think, hang on, no one else has ever asked us that before. And the answer to that question is really important. It could help avoid a problem, a costly problem down the track. So it elevates your status as an authority. The one thing we always talk about in BBB is the Thud Factor. And this is something that my coach, Taki Moore, helped me understand a number of years ago, is that the credibility pack needs to have a high thud factor. And what the thud factor is the noise that it makes when they drop it on the kitchen table. So put some stuff that's substantial in there. Maybe even send them out some special tea and put a note in there. Just want you to sit back and relax and have this cup of special tea or whatever it might be while you're going through this pack. So make it special. Make a big thud when it hits the table. And I think also what adds to the credibility is for it to arrive and be put in their hands as soon as possible after you hang up the phone from the triage call. Like, ideally, you need to figure out a system that when you go, okay, see you, bye, and hang up, there's a ding, ding, meeting, the doorbell goes and there's someone standing out the front with the credibility pack. Would be very creepy, but they'd be wondering how the hell you did that. So, but if you can get it there same day, like put it in a courier or something like that. So what does that do when there is this speed of things happening? It sets a really terrific precedent, a lot of confidence, authority, credibility, all of that sort of stuff goes up when things happen fast because it signals that you're organized. Most builders don't do this sort of thing. Yep, well, they don't even bother sending anything, or people get all cheap and email them out something. I mean, for God's sake, invest a bit of dough, make yourself look professional and have them feel that you are professional by following these suggestions. Then you arrive. Imagine if what you had in your credibility pack was a book written by you. Not as silly as it sounds. It's easy to do. We might cover that at some stage in the not too distant future in another episode of how simple it can be. There are people out there that can help you write a book. But man, that creates credibility. Imagine if one of those was in your credibility pack. Then you arrive, they feel like they know you. So it's so much easier to build the rapport quickly, and building rapport contributes to the building of trust as well. So when we then first meet, so we're into the initial meeting, obviously, how's your mother's chooks? You start to get into a little bit of small talk and build the rapport, and then start the meeting. So take control and start the meeting. Okay, let's get started with this. So just by let's get started with this, you are taking control of the meeting, putting out a very professional vibe. I've got this, I've done this before, rather than flying by the seat of your pants. How we suggest that you get started is telling a story. In BBB, we have a template to help you build the story, but the whole idea of telling the story of how you built your business, and it's really short and to the point, what it does is helps the prospect really see clearly how you are different to the rest of the builders, and how you've got a process and what your focus is, and they start to feel, hang on, this is very different, and the focus is very, very much on me, meaning the prospect. So you start off with telling the story. The next step is that you map out the meeting, and I would suggest that you use a visual aid. So it's like a flow chart. So, you might have some sort of a screen, or you might have a flip folder or something like that, but you've got the steps. So this is what we're going to cover. We're going to do this first, and then we're going to cover this, and then we're going to cover this, and you get all the way to the end. And so the purpose of the map and what have you is to establish the purpose of the meeting. So you're organized, you've done this before, you've got a map, and they can very clearly see what's going to happen in this meeting. And the purpose of this meeting, number one, is to find out whether you think that they're a fit for your business. You're not going to tell them that, but that's what your purpose is. Do I want to open the door to my business to these people? Pardon me. Will they, be compliant with my systems and processes? Will we have a good connection? Will it be a great experience for everybody involved, me included, the builder? The purpose of the meeting for them is for you to answer all of their questions and have them feel that you completely understand their priorities, their concerns, their fears, their frustrations, their aspirations, their wants, as well, if not better, than they do themselves. That's the purpose of the meeting for them. And if you help them to understand that's the purpose of the meeting, they'll be a whole lot more compliant and open throughout the conversation. But we'll show them the map of the meeting. And the last step is to say, and once we've done that, once we've answered all of your questions, once we've allayed all of your fears, and you feel totally confident that I really understand at least as well, if not better, than you from your perspective about all of your priorities and concerns, your next step is to invest in a professionally prepared proposal. Don't leave a gap there. So what you'll say is to invest in a professionally prepared proposal. Now, you may have thought that, we would just do a free quote. And in fact, we used to, and we don't do it anymore. And here are all of the reasons why. In fact, we have a thing called the free quote suck explainer. It's a sheet. If you want a copy of that, reach out to me, mick@buildersbusinessblackbelt.com.au, and I'll shoot you across a copy of that sheet, because it gives you 6 reasons as to why free quotes suck from the client's point of view. So you could pick 2 or 3 of those reasons and put it in this part of the meeting. And by that explanation, they can see very, very clearly that a free quote isn't worth the paper it's written on. In fact, free quotes, as a rule, create a significant amount of problems for the client. The builder also experiences those problems, and it's setting up a very, very bad relationship dynamic in the beginning, because you're basically saying my time, my experience, my knowledge is worth nothing, because I'm going to give it to you for free. If you establish that dynamic in the relationship up front, that is going to be expected all the way through the project. And you're basically, by doing that, you are focusing them on cost all of the time. The focus keeps coming back to cost. But when they see that making a small investment in getting a professionally prepared proposal that they can rely upon, and it's done in normal working hours, not at 11 o'clock after you've been working for 11 hours on the tools, inhaled some dinner, and then been in the office doing paperwork for 3 hours, and you end up getting to their quote at 11 o'clock at night. How reliable is that going to be? And these are all of the things that you can talk to them about. That's how we used to do it. These are the problems that we used to run into. We've got a great new system now that all of our clients absolutely love. And the bottom line is, with Builders Business Black Belt, we get feedback every day that people love it. They much prefer investing in a quality proposal than getting a free quote. That's the feedback that we get every day. So you can carry on, and be pessimistic about it and say, well, people will never pay for a quote. They expect it for free. You can hold on to that opinion if you want to, but you've also holding on to all of the negativity and the problems that come up in your business and in your customer's experience because of it. So you can let go of that useless thought process and get on board and learn how to do this in your business, because it works and it will make a difference. So you establish that next step of the paid proposal, and that you don't do it for free, and here are the reasons. And you can use the free quote suck explainer as a tool for that. And then you ask what we call the 3-question loop. And again, I've got to give credit to Taki Moore. He's an absolute genius. He has taught us all in our coaching group the 3-question loop. And it's this: does that make sense? Wait for the answer. They go, yep. Are you 100% comfortable with everything I've talked about so far? Wait for the answer. And then the 3rd question is, in your mind, where do you think we should go from here? So remember, we're about 7 to 10 minutes into the initial meeting. And if you've got a sense that these people are no way, no how going to pay for your time, your knowledge, and your experience, you need to get out of there. So you've wasted 10 minutes instead of wasting potentially 40 hours of putting together a quote that all they're going to do is get somebody else to do it, flip through all of your detail, go to the back page, look at the price, make a decision based on that. They do not respect your time, your knowledge, your experience. Doing it this way, people go, wow, that makes a lot of sense. Yes, let's do it this way. And this 3-question loop gives them the control. Does that make sense? You're 100% comfortable with everything I've talked about so far? In your mind, where do you think we should go from here? You're giving them the control, but what you're actually doing is creating a pathway for your reasonable customer, the client that would be reasonable, which is investing some money in doing this properly in the beginning. Or the other pathway is for the unreasonable person who doesn't respect your time, knowledge, or experience and want it for free. But they choose which way they want to go. Where do you think we should go from here in your mind? Where do you think we should go from here? And they go, well, let's do a proposal. Or they'll go, I'm not paying for a proposal. And you go, that's cool. And you leave, or you go to the next step and start gathering the information and whatever you need to put the proposal together. But get paid first. That's the key to it. Get paid first. The whole idea of doing this in the first 7 to 10 minutes, as I said, is you're getting agreement in principle that if all of the questions are answered, all of the fears are allayed throughout this meeting, then yeah, it makes total sense to invest some money in getting a professionally prepared proposal. But if they're not going to do that, well, then you can save a whole bunch of time. You've only wasted 10 minutes, and if they've travelled to you, you haven't even wasted the travel time. But don't be afraid to walk away. You must understand that the quality client pathway isn't a manipulation process that turns everybody into a client. Its focus, number one focus, is education. Showing your prospects a better way of doing things so they're going to get more value and a much higher quality experience throughout this project, but they've got to play their part. They've got to be a team member. They've got to invest in your knowledge and your experience, your intellectual property, and they need to work together with you as a team with openness and transparency, and that's how it will work best for everybody. And if they don't want to do that, walk away, because then the quality client pathway has worked as well. It has saved you a bad experience. And please put your hand up and wave it in the air like you just don't care. If you've ever had a client that at some stage through the project you've gone, man, I wish I'd never had even taken these people on. Everybody's experienced that. This is a great way of avoiding that and changing the experience for everybody so it's really, really high quality. So I hope that makes sense. If you want a hand with this, as I said at the start of the show, we're more than happy to help. And all you need to do is there's a button under the video if you're watching this on the blog. If you're watching this live, we'll put a link in the comments section after we've done, and you can just click that and organise a chat. Just fill out a quick form so we know a little bit about your business, and then we'll jump on the phone and we can show you where the resources are for you to implement this into your business pretty rapidly. We've had builders who are completely skeptical and in 3 to 6 weeks have been paid for their first proposal. Other members have taken longer because they just didn't get over the emotion of it all. But if you reach out, ask for help, you can get over it real quickly and start to get results very, very fast. So hit the button if you're watching it on the blog, or hit the link in the comments if you're watching us live or the replay. And let's get on the blower and see if we can point you in the right direction. Now, Q&A. I don't know why I'm reaching for the mouse. My iPad is right here and isn't connected to that mouse, so it wouldn't make any difference. The question is, why won't people pay for my quotes? So I get this question a little bit because people listen to, I need to get paid for my proposal, and I started telling people I charge for quotes, and they just go, well, I'm not paying, mate, and walk away. I think that you might have a bit of an insight now that we've unpacked the initial meeting as to why that might happen. But one thing you do need to understand is people won't part with their money unless they see value. So it's not a money decision why they're not paying you for your quote or not agreeing to pay for a quote or a proposal. It is that you haven't been able to establish value with them. From their perspective, they don't see the value. And telling them isn't the answer. Going through this quality client pathway and doing the initial meeting, that's the solution, because it is building authority, building rapport, building trust, and then giving them the control to decide to do this or not. You're not giving them any control at all when you say, we charge for quotes, and that's your presentation. They first need to know that you understand and you care, and you've got a process for them to follow. And so understanding from their perspective builds trust, and that is massively valuable. So learning skills to understand from their perspective. A great resource if you want to go learn this stuff is Habit 5 from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, author Stephen Covey. Forget about the rest of the book at this stage. Go straight to Habit 5 and start to read it over and over and over and learn how to have a conversation with people so they feel that you understand them, and you will build trust really, really quickly. Once trust is established, people will then tend to want your advice and follow your process. That's just the logical progression. They won't follow your process or ask for your advice if they don't trust you. But once you've established trust, then they want your advice and they want to follow your process. And if paying for a proposal is part of the process and you can show them the value that they get from this versus a free quote, it's a no-brainer, and it happens every single day. And the key to it is just showing them the old WIIFM, which is what's in it for me. You've got to, from their perspective, answer that question, what's in it for me? And if you can do that, listen to them, build trust, build rapport, it's incredible the change that happens. And we get this feedback every day in Black Belt that I can't believe that this still works, like that this works, but there is just no resistance to the people paying for a proposal when you do it correctly. So again, if you want to be shown how to do this, we've got it all mapped out. We can show you how to do it. All you need to do is get in a conversation with us. So you can do that. Go to the website, schedule a call, hit the button under the video if you're watching this on the blog. But if you're watching it on Facebook, either live or replay, we'll put a comment. We'll put a link in the comment section, and that's how you can do it. So I hope that answers that question. Personal productivity hack time. You know what a grass catcher is? It's a thing you stick on the back of your lawnmower and it catches grass. Excellent. How's that a personal productivity hack? There's a thing called a grass catcher list. And it's just a list of things that can deliver you some value. So when we teach our members time management, we teach them how to apply priorities. A priority is something that is vital, absolutely critical for the life of your goal. B is somewhat important, but it's not critical. It's just important. C offers some value. And there are a whole bunch of things that we think we should do, and suggestions that other people make to us, and books we should read, or podcasts we should listen to, or what have you. And those things offer us some value. If we write them down and they're suggested again and again and again, sometimes urgency creeps into our decision-making process and we go, oh, we'll just go and do that. But sometimes it's to the detriment of something that's really, really important. If you can schedule C priority things into your day, you can still get the value out of them, but not to the detriment of higher priority things. And if you let urgency take over, you can start doing some of these things that represent a little bit of value, but you do it to the detriment of something that is much higher value, either a B or an A. So I suggest you create a grass catcher list, and it's just a list in your diary system, in your phone, wherever you want to keep it, and you bang those suggestions in there. And when you're planning your day, doing your prioritized daily action list, if there are some small gaps in there, you can start to put those things in those spaces. We had a conversation in here this morning just about Vince Lombardi and showing up 10 minutes early to places. And when you do that, it removes all of your stress. You arrive places 10, sometimes 15 minutes early, and it gives you the opportunity to start to tick off some of these actions and ideas that live on your grass catcher list. But if you put those things on your grass catcher list on your daily list, it makes it look like this massive big list, and it creates overwhelm. It puts you in an emotional state that is very, very ineffective for productivity, unnecessarily. And so you become less productive. But if you get those C things off your list into a grass catcher list and you bring them into spaces that appear during the day because of your efficiencies, you can get them done. But if you don't get them done, it doesn't matter, and it doesn't overload your list and make it look like this big, massive list. So build yourself a grass catcher list. I hope that makes sense. What's the takeaway for this episode? I think it's the saying from Zig Ziglar. You know, if you keep on doing what you've been doing, you're going to keep on getting what you've been getting. And I think Walt Disney would said, you know, if you want to be successful, look around and see what the world is doing and don't do it. But my version of it is this: if you do what everybody else does, you get what everybody else gets. And if you look around at the success of building businesses, the financial success and the time freedom success of the owners of building businesses, you'll find by far the majority of them don't have any time freedom and don't have financial success either. So if we do what everybody else does, and we do free quotes, and we're unprofessional and we're disorganized and all of that, we'll get the results that everybody else gets. So that would be my takeaway for this, is start to figure out what you need to do, which is kind of almost the opposite of what traditionally builders do. And we're full of those suggestions in the Builders Business Success podcast, so you can go back and watch previous episodes or listen to previous episodes of the podcast and get ideas for this. But as I said, if you want to help implementing this, if what I've said has ended up creating more questions than answers, we're more than happy to help. There's no harm, there's no foul in getting on the phone and asking some questions so we can point you in the right direction. That right direction might be investing in a course that we have, or it might be getting into the free stuff that we've got. It just doesn't matter. Our mission is to help builders, and if we have to do it one at a time, we will, and we are. And all you need to do to help us with our mission to improve the whole building industry is play your part, and we're happy to support you and guide you. So jump on a call. Tell us where you're at. Tell us where you want to be. We can point you in the right direction for what you want and your current situation, so you don't need to worry about can I afford it, can't I afford it, any of that sort of stuff. We will help you find a way. But all you need to do is put your hand up and say, hey, can we have a chat? So the way to do that is we'll put a link in the comments if you're watching it on Facebook Live or the replay. If you're watching it on the podcast, on the blog, on the website, there should be a button underneath the video. Just press that. That'll take you to the form, away you go. If you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple or any of the other podcast audio-only platforms, all you need to do is just navigate to Builders Business. I don't even know where you have to navigate. There it is. It's written on the screen. buildersbusinessblackbelt.com.au. Simple, really. If you go there, there's scheduler call buttons all over the place. You just press them and the same thing happens. So, but we want to help. All you need to do is be prepared to have a conversation, and it's about as simple as that. So I hope this episode 47 was value, unpacking the initial meeting. I hope that you start to use this. It's going to make a big difference. And if you want help, as I said, you know what to do. We'll be back with another episode 48. Before you know it, we're going live with these currently in the Builders Business Success Forum Facebook group. It's a Facebook group specifically for builders. If you're not a member, get in there. There's a ton of resources. There's awesome people in there that will answer questions and give you shortcuts to solutions to many of your problems. So get in there. All you need to do is answer a couple of questions, jump in, and away you go. And you can participate live in these podcasts at 10 a.m. every Tuesday morning in the Builders Business Success Forum. So get in there and participate with us live. I hope you liked it. I hope they got some value out of it. We'll be back before you know it. I'm Mick Hawes, Builders Business Black Belt. That's it for this episode of the podcast. Bye for now.
Okay, that's the podcast. If you have a question or want to know how Mick can help with your building business, email your request to mick@buildersbusinessblackbelt.com.au. Do it now.